I'm not the expert in the mental health category at all.
I said to Megan when she was like, oh, so, they're having a discussion about mental health. And I was like, and they want us to do it.
I know. I mean, I think it's really important. I do talk about it a lot because I'm very transparent. I'm the first to admit when I'm like going through something. I'll even like tweet it out or Instagram it to my fans, because it's important. I think there's definitely like a stigma on it that, it doesn't affect actors or people on television, and it actually really, really does. And so I just feel in our positions with all of our followers and we're on TV, like it's a wonderful opportunity to, shine a light on it.
So my father was a psychologist, a family and marriage psychologist. So he was very proactive. Both my parents were about talking about feelings. My brother and I joke. Sometimes we say to my mom, like, please, we don't want to talk about our feelings anymore. But my grandmother was also bipolar. And so in my family, there was never any shame to do with mental illness. I went out into the world and very quickly realized that was not normal. The way I grew up with how open it was, especially back in the 80s and the 90s. And so I feel I've been on a bit of a crusade, if you were, to really talk about mental illness, to normalize it, to make people who have and who struggle with mental illness feel that they don't have a deficiency.
Definitely a generation thing too, because especially, growing up in a Black home, there's definitely a huge stigma on mental health and going and seeing a therapist. Like,
why is that?
Honestly, I don't know. I feel like it's just always been engraved in the Black community that, you are independent, you provide for yourself, you cannot lack in anything, you can't slack. You got to always be on top of your game. And so therefore, if you have a mental illness or a mental issue, it could be seen as like a weakness. Truly, my first exposure to it really was just, joining this silly business. That was the first time that I really understood oh, there's this thing called mental health, and then there's depression, and then there's anxiety. I just learned last year that I have anxiety. This was not told to me growing up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Did I text her? I called her or FaceTimed. I was just like, hey, my therapist said I have anxiety. Oh my God. I had no idea. No one really taught me these things. So, in a way, it allowed me to kind of be an educator, for my folks about mental health. But yeah, I think it's definitely a culture thing, stigma, and generational for sure.
Yeah, an older actor gave me advice once that I thought was really beautiful. They told me that a lot of actors actually struggle with anxiety and depression, and that from that place comes the ability to really convey emotion and access one's emotion, one's darkness, one's sad places. And I thought it was such a beautiful way to look at it as well, because you can turn all of those things into something beautiful. Megan and I talk about our anxiety all the time.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. Or there'll be a long text message of oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Yeah, so it's a thing.
And that's the other thing. I think it's really important to have community.
Yeah.
It's really nice that I can send Megan a 7-minute non-judgment voice note.
Yes, which is, oh my God, okay. It's so nice, when Rachel is admitting that she's also kind of going through it too, because then you don't feel so alone. It's I can't even remember the amount of times that I say to Rachel, I'm like, oh my God, thank God you said that. Me too, So yeah, community is huge.
This show has challenged both Megan and I in terms of
absolutely
how we take care of ourselves. Sometimes self-care is honestly just taking a couple of moments to do some breathing exercises. Breathing is so important. I love sitting in the shower. I get home from work and it's my ritual. I sit in the shower and I just sort of let the water wash over me. And I process everything that happened that day. And I know this sounds counterintuitive, but I truly believe that if you have the time to give back to someone else, when you're feeling down, my mom always told me that.
No, that's one of the main things. They always say to get yourself out of a funk, the best thing to do is just go help someone else, because it mentally gets you out of your out of your own head, but then you're also like doing something great for someone else. So it's supposed to be kind of like there's like a chemical shift. But like another thing that I'll do, and I've been like an advocate for this, and I've been telling everybody on this set, is to ditch social media and take social media breaks.
You do that.
Yeah.
You inspired me to take a break from social media, and
it's the best.
So good.
Yeah, it's like in a way, like, of course, like it's like, oh my God, what are people talking about? I'm missing it. But you know what? It is so great to just unplug from the world and to just tap into yourself. I'm not consistent with this, but I try to just like get up in the morning. I try to meditate. I'll try to just write down at least 5 things that I'm thankful for. I'll try to journal. Sometimes I'll read my Bible. Like I'll just do whatever I can to just like get out of Megan's head and get into something that's, bigger than me. Aside from that, just making sure you have great friends like Rachel that I can just call, text, voice note, FaceTime at any point to just vent to. So
we do that. We have gratitude checks. So we if we're complaining about something or whatever, then usually it works well because only one of us is like in the dumpster and the other is okay, and we switch. And then like if one of us is in the dumpster too long, we'll be like, okay, we're grateful and things like that. And so it's really that, I think, is also finding a community. The other thing that I really think is a big thing, and both Megan and I have pets. It's so lovely to have an animal. I say I force everyone on this set to foster an animal.